Hey, welcome to GuitarMessenger.com. This is Francesco Artusato from Devolved and All Shop Bears.
I also know you have some solo material that's in the works.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about that and how it's coming together?
All I do, when I'm home and not on tour, just write music, and it happens that like some material goes one record, some other goes to an instrumental record. So yeah, I finished actually the whole record, so a second solo album, and it's pretty different from the first one, and I'm really happy with it, and it will get released sometimes this year.
Will there be any guest appearances on your solo work?
Yes, one of the tracks on the record has a few of my friends and great guitar players that I know, and one is Per Nielsen. I've been a fan of his playing forever, and I got to meet him a few years ago. He's awesome. And obviously I wanted to, when I asked him, he said yes, I was stoked. And then Wes Hawk, and another friend, an incredible player, so that was awesome to have him. And Ryan Knight from Black Dahlia, same thing, toured with him before. It's like we're best friends, and just I admire his playing a lot. And then on that track there's also crazy stuff going with bass solos, drum fills and solos. It's a fun track, but everybody's really showing what they can do. It's awesome.
So how does this material differ from your first solo album?
It's definitely a lot more organic, even though I didn't actually get to go to the studio and play the music live, but that's how I wrote it. I wrote it really thinking about playing a song from start to finish. I feel like it's more organic, it's just more alive, it feels like a band playing more than and the fact that I had awesome players also. There's Ray Riondo on bass and Denny Handler on drums. So this time I really got to enjoy that part, feel like a band.
Well, what are you working on right now as a guitar player?
Oh, I wish I had more time to actually work on the guitar playing part, but for some reason now it's something that I've done for many years, and I would have just focused on that. And now I feel like when I sit down, and it's mostly about writing music, so I don't really practice. I practice a lot before going to the studio for this record, because I wanted to go to the studio and just nail riffs and solos and everything. I feel really comfortable. But then of course a lot of the stuff changed while I was in the studio, so a lot of stuff I was practicing then it was different. So it's just, but all good. Yeah, I mean, I still try to, especially for lead stuff, I try to come up with fresh ideas. But yeah, I feel like, it's I haven't done too much of that lately. But I'm still obviously in love with the guitar playing part of this whole thing. And yeah.
I heard that in your years when you were coming up and learning to play, that you played Rock Discipline every day straight for a year. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was part of my routine every day. Yeah. It's probably even for more than a year. I think I still remember. It's been a few years, but I still remember. I could just practice the whole thing without even the book. I remember the exercise, every example and everything. And yeah, I think it's still one of the best. For that specific aspect of guitar playing, it's probably the best book that I've ever seen.
Right on.
And obviously there's a lot more that I would just add to it, but yeah, it's awesome.
One thing I really like about your playing is the phrasing and the kind of more angular motion that you have sometimes, and sometimes you stretch things out harmonically too. I think it adds a lot of freshness to your sound. So what can you recommend to a player that's comfortable with their pentatonic scales, minor scales, they're playing the patterns, some of the more common patterns in metal playing? What advice can you give them to start expanding their playing and taking it to those different places?
For me, one thing that it kind of changed, that, the way I was playing, especially when I started getting more into classical composition, and then seeing how a lot of the composer, the modern composer, they just pretty much create their own scales, and that's kind of that makes a lot of sense. I don't really have to play the scale that I'm supposed to play. I can just kind of do whatever I want. And then so sometimes like inside the one line, you can actually combine different sounds. So and even sometimes like I don't really like, I kind of don't think about is it right or not, you know. And even now, if I get to analyze some of the stuff that I play, I would find like, well, this actually doesn't really make total sense, but sounds good, I'm gonna do it. And it's kind of the approach of like, first learn as much as you can and then do whatever you want with it. So that's kind of like what I try to do with the guitar playing. You should never, I feel like you should never force yourself to play things that don't sound good to yourself. You know, some people think, I need to play like weird scales and things like this, they're fancy, they're cool to play. But if it's not in your ears, you shouldn't play them. You're not gonna be able to play them in the correct way. It's a whole different thing when you actually do art in your ears, you know, and that's what you're putting on the guitar. Yeah. So that's kind of like, you know, that's kind of like what I would suggest. That's what I do.
If you could look back at yourself, you know, as you were coming up, learning all these things, is there something that you would have told a younger self that to try differently because you could have saved a lot of time or anything like that?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because I'm really happy with what I have right now. So it kind of like, even if I made a bunch of mistakes, and I know I did, it still got me to this point, and I'm really happy in life, you know, happy with what I'm doing in my career. But obviously, you know, there's probably a few things I could have done better in a smarter way to make things happen faster, I guess. But, you know, you live and learn. Yeah, in terms of guitar playing, in terms of music, it just, sometimes I wish I still had the time that I used to have. When I went, you know, when we were at Berkeley, yeah, it really felt like, yeah, I had all the classes, all the homework, all the things, but it still felt like I had all the time in the world to just focus on music. And now it's just like, there's certain situations like with touring and traveling that sometimes you don't really, you spend a few days not even like touching a guitar, and it's like, it's kind of weird because I used to be obsessed just playing guitar, and now it's like, sometimes I don't get to play for a few days because we're just traveling, there's crazy scheduling and all that. So yeah, so that's definitely a different, yeah.
When we wrapped up our previous interview, I asked you for a piece of advice for upcoming guitarists and musicians, and you mentioned that besides guitar playing, you know, the band dynamic is also very important, and carrying yourself like a professional, yeah, and that you'll ultimately find your place if you do this.
Totally.
So maybe to add on to that, is there another piece of advice you can offer to upcoming musicians, maybe something you picked up along the way the last couple of years?
I mean, I still feel like the most important thing is treat this, I mean, if you want to be like in the professional world of music, treat it like a job, you know? There's no, like, so many people think like music, it's all, you know, fun and just like drink and whatever. It's like show up on stage half wasted, and it's like, I never seen it that way. For me, it is a job, you know? If I had a job, I would have to show up at a certain time every day and then do my things, and that's it. It's even more than a job because I never get to, you know, go home and not do it because that's all I do. You know, when you're on the road, for me, it's kind of like almost thinking, you know, constantly, and especially in a band like this, when you know, even though you have managers and agents and lawyers and things like that, I still try to be in control, like not in control, but I try to be, you know, to know what's going on about everything, you know? So it's like that aspect, the business aspect. In this band, it's been more than in previous bands. So since it kind of started, you know, I was there since day one. You know, I'm so present with everything that is happening. And then, so that's even less like about just music now. It's a lot more about the business aspect. All that is like, keep that in mind, you know. You're not just gonna be, you know, play guitar and relax the rest of the time. It's a full-time job on the road, and it doesn't matter if you're playing 40 minutes or an hour a day. Everything else you're doing during the day is a job.
I know the first album just came out, and he talks about all the material that you have about putting it towards the second album.
I mean, John and I already started writing new material. We already have like 5-6 songs that are new, you know. So it's kind of like, It's never gonna stop. I don't think with this band we ever gonna feel like, oh, we gotta write another record. Let's start writing music. We just write, you know. And we had so much material that we still love from the stuff that we didn't use for the first record. That could turn into something and be on the second record, or who knows? It's just like I'm not worried, that we're not gonna have enough material.
Right.
So that's really cool to know. It's not you work with somebody who's that into it also. So yeah, probably it's gonna be, who knows, combination of old stuff, new stuff, or just all new stuff.
Pleasure as always, and best of luck on the road. Hope to see you soon again.
Thank you so much. Take care, man.
All right. Thanks for watching. You're at GuitarMessenger.com.
Thank you. And
this will be for the bonus features. I think we should just keep it. It's fun.
Yeah, like
Sorry.
Yeah.